lot of times as a contractor, I get asked, should I pull permits on a house? And the short answer is yes. If what you're doing on the property requires a permit, the right answer is yes, you should pull a permit. Now, sometimes people don't pull permits. That's a whole different topic, but I'm going to teach you what's involved when you are actually pulling a permit, especially if you're GCing your own job. This is what you need to do in order to go down to the city and pull permits. Most of the time when you're pulling permits on a property, you need two separate things. One is a drawing from an architect, and that is simply dimensions, sizes, kind of a blueprint of the actual property. The second thing that you need is an engineer to sign off on what the architect said is okay. Sometimes the architect has a vision that's not structurally sound to the engineer, so you need to make sure that you're speaking to both parties and that the engineer is okay structurally with supporting the changes made that the architect draws. Now, when you go down to a city, they're going to say, we need drawings. You need two separate drawings. You need one of the property in its current condition, and then you need another drawing of the property after what it's going to look like after you fix it up. The city's going to look at it and compare both of them, and then they have engineers in-house that are also going to make sure that it's structurally sound before they sign off and approve your drawings. Another thing that's going to help this process out a lot is a current survey of the property, especially if you're doing additions to the property. If you're going higher or if you're going wider, the survey becomes insanely important. Sometimes that survey will have like the plumbing on it or where the plumbing fixtures are, and that will help the city better determine if your plans are appropriate for what you're trying to do. So once you have your drawings from both your architect and your engineer, what are you going to do? Okay, the first thing you need to do is you need to go to the zoning building down at the city. Okay, normally this building is called planning and development or building and development. So planning and development, building and development, they typically have their own building. However, some cities, it may be in another area or another buildings like next to the county clerk's office or something along those lines, but that's what you're looking for. You're looking for planning and development or building and development. If you call the city, tell them what you're doing, they typically will send you to the right place. That's the building that you're looking for. If you're doing a large project, this is typically how it's going to go. You're going to take your plans, your blueprints that your engineer and your architect drew for you. You're going to bring it down to zoning, and zoning's going to stamp it. Okay? They're going to stamp it and approve it, saying that it's okay. From zoning, your plans have to go to the planning and development department. So if you bring it down to zoning, zoning's going to say, okay, this is approved. You can do this on the property. That's what zoning is. Can you do what I'm bringing you on this property? Zoning's going to approve or deny you. They have to put their stamp on them. If they don't stamp it, you can't go down to the planning and development department because they won't take your plans unless zoning clears them. Okay, and this is even true for the smaller stuff like electricity and plumbing. If you're doing a big remodel, a big plan, and you're making a lot of different changes, it's probably going to sit in planning and development for 2 to 4 weeks. If it's something small like a sewer job or electricity, there's ways that we can expedite that. Typically it involves a fee. You just pay a larger amount of money and you can expedite this particular process. So along with permits, you have essentially in Texas anyways, you have two different types of permits. Okay, you have your general building permit. Your general building permit, that comes from your general contractor or a contractor. Most of the time, you have to have a general contractor pull that general building permit. Sometimes as a homeowner you can, depending upon what you're doing to the property, depending upon if it's an investment or not and the scope of work. In order to pull a permit, you have to have contractor's insurance. So we have two sets of permits. You have the builder's permit, and then we call it all the piggyback permits, so all the subcategory permits. So we as general contractors, we pull this big permit, and it's an umbrella permit. That's the building permit. Underneath that is your electrical permit, your plumbing permit, your HVAC, your foundation, your roof. Some cities do require you to pull a roofing permit. Most people don't pull them, but a lot of cities do require you to actually pull a permit to install the roof. So we have the large permit on top, the builder's permit, and then underneath you have what's called a repair license permit. Every city is going to be a little bit different. Typically, this is how the process works. You go to the city, you give them a copy of your insurance, you pull the larger building permit. You have a form that you're going to fill out. You have a fee that you're going to pay. Now, here's a trick. Here's a secret, okay? A lot of times, the city's going to charge you that fee, the permit fee, based upon how much the scope of work is. So if you go in there with a $100,000 bid of the scope of work, they're going to charge you a fee based upon $100,000 worth of work. Now, sometimes some people may fudge how much work they're actually doing to it. And they might say, I'm just doing paint and carpets, it's going to be $1,000. That's because the fee for the permit is actually based upon the amount of work that is being done. So sometimes people will lie and say that they're doing less work than they really are when they're pulling permits, so that way that permit fee is cheaper. Now, whatever you do whatever you need to do as an investor. I'm just letting you know what other people may do in the industry. A lot of times when you're pulling permits, you must have a contractor schematic of the water lines, the drawings of any added additional square footage, and this includes garage conversions, and your mechanical, electrical, and plumbing diagrams as well. Depending upon what kind of permit you're pulling, those items will be needed as well when you get into the rehab. When you're pulling the permits, there's a process to actually pulling the permit. So you're going to pull the building permit, and the building permit helps you do the insulation, the sheetrock, and the framing. Any of the majors, the MEP or the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, you have to pull after, or they won't let you do it until after the insulation, sheetrock, and framing has been inspected. You can't install electricity until your framework has been inspected by the city. So along with permits, there's going to be an inspection process for every permit that you pull. An inspector is going to have to go and look at the property typically before you do the work, make sure that your plans are okay, and they're going to allow you to do the work. Then they're going to sign off saying, okay, you can do these. Then you do the work, and then they come back and they re-inspect, make sure you did the work right. That's typically for every single process. Sometimes you can do multiple trades, like you can do sheetrock and insulation. No, you can do insulation and you can do framing, and then have one inspector come out to verify both of those. But anything that's hidden, you can't do until afterwards. So you can't do electricity and plumbing until after the insulation and the framing has been checked off. Like I said, the first permit you're going to pull is the building permit, and that covers framing. Relocation of all walls. The building permit will cover relocation of a wall, or if you remove a wall and you have to put like an LVL in there or a header in there, it will cover that. And concrete work is also sometimes under that original building permit, along with roofing. So things you need verified by an inspector for sure. If you pull a foundation permit, that needs to be verified. The mechanical, the heating, ventilation, and air condition, HVAC is what it's called in the industry. That's going to have to be pulled and verified. Electrical and plumbing. Those are your top 4 that are done on a lot of the remodels that we do all the permits on. My name is Ron Carlson. I'm with Renovation Gurus. I appreciate you taking time to watch all this information. I'm hoping that it benefits you in your investment world, that you are able to buy more houses, that you're wiser, smarter because of this education. Propelio Academy has a lot more videos. Continue to watch them, continue to educate yourself. If for some reason you want to contact me or you want to contact somebody on my team, feel free to reach us at renovationgurus.com. You can also call our 855 number. It's 855-99-GURUS. Gurus translated as 48787. So it'll be 855-99-48787, or you can reach us at admin@renovationgurus.com. If you have questions, if you need a bid, feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for your time.